Every child that is out of school holds up a mirror to the adult world that says, "You have failed me. This is unacceptable. I will not accept that failure."
Anne Cotton's first trip ever to Africa was in 1991, when, as a young mother and student in education, she visited a school in the remote community of Mola in western Zimbabwe.
In the early stages, I realized that girls had not been asked what they wanted to do in the future, largely because the opportunities didn't exist for others than to marry really quite young. There wasn't money in the family for them to go to school. So when I began to ask them what their aspirations were, I met really quite blank faces and silence. So I started to walk to homes with girls on the journey, and it was really through that I began to understand the severity of the constraints on their lives and the level of poverty that their families were facing. That was my learning ground, and they taught me what was possible.
How are you?
What are you going to read today? Adamoyo.
Why were you selected as the drummer? Oh, ndundiko. Oh, it's a difficult word. On her return to Cambridge, Anne started campaigning. Camfed, Campaign for Female Education, was launched. Then a budding endeavour far from the international organisation it has become, but from day one answerable, first and foremost, to those rural girls in Africa.
I remember the second time Chief Mola said to me, "Oh, you have come back." And I said, "Yes, I promised." And he said, "How will we work together?" So I said, "Well, I don't know how to do this, so I'm ready to listen and learn." He said, "We'll call a community meeting." And literally hundreds of people came. And I was so thrilled that here was this interest in girls' education that was just waiting, waiting for an opportunity to express itself and to act. And actually, they designed the Camfed model that day.
To this day, community members of all levels participate through existing institutions in the design and implementation of the Camfed model.
The community clearly understands what they need. They understand exactly what they lack so that they are able to tackle the challenges that they face. We work together so that we support them, we push them where they don't have, for example, financial assistance so that they can push their development.
And administer the Camfed funds to fight the devastating cycle of poverty in resonance with Anne Cotton's own story.
My grandmother, bibi yake, left school when she was 12 years old. Her father was killed in a mining accident and there was no money. And she knew what she had lost. And when I was a child, if I was just sitting like this, she would say, "Read a book." And in my work, I remember her.
Adopting a holistic approach, Camfed invests in all aspects of the beneficiary's environment, with an eye on the long term.
As the first girls were coming out of secondary education to a job market in which there were very few jobs for them, and they were going to go to town in search of work, and that would put them in a situation of great vulnerability. And so we decided to launch an alumni organisation. Of course, this is the way the powerful consolidate and extend their power. So why not rural girls in Africa?
I have my ball! I have my ball! I have my ball! I have my ball! I be better! I be better!
We've been going for 20 years and the organisation has quite literally grown up with the first groups of girls who received support to go through school. And many of them are now the leaders of our organisation across Africa. And drive and commitment, an absolute commitment to ensuring accountability to the girls for whom we work as our clients is really what inspires everyone across the organisation.
I want to be an engineer. I want to be a professor. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a pilot.
Our aim is to support 1 million girls in secondary school education. Just imagine 1 million girls in Africa, all of whom are from a background of rural poverty, all of whom understand the anxiety, the frustrations of poverty. Just imagine them in the education and health systems, in politics, in journalism, in law, in engineering, in science. Just imagine the power of what they can do.